All right, so really looking forward to the keynote coming up, Ensuring an Equitable Energy Future. We've got a really wonderful speaker, CEO of Pecan Street, Anissa Rodriguez Dickerman, and since it's 5:02, I'm going to turn it right over to you. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see you all, and I'm so honored to be closing out this incredible Energy Week that we've had here. This is my first one, and so I've been super amped to attend all the panels and just the networking opportunities, and this has been just a fantastic experience. So thank you so much for having me and letting me represent my organization, Pecan Street. Now, I know what time it is. It's 5:03. And it's the end of a very long day. I know that I was very generous to accept this end of the day slot because people are ready, I think, to go get cocktails and go get snacks and probably go to dinner. And so I promise that I'm gonna send everyone off with some inspiration, hopefully. And to my right, I have these amazing students that we are partnered with through this amazing organization called EcoRise. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a presentation, then I'll transition it to them so that they can introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they aspire to do. And it'll give us all hope for the future is what I'm really hoping. So like Brian said, I'm Anissa Rodriguez Dickerman, and I am the CEO of Pecan Street, Inc. And so many people in the UT community know about our organization. You're familiar with Pecan Street because we are here in Austin. We're in the Miller development. We have a 3-story, 3,800 square foot commercialization lab. And we were formed in 2009 through this amazing partnership with UT. So at its heart, my organization, Pecan Street, is a research and a data organization. Data is at the heart of everything that we do. We're really trying to take a systemic approach to this clean energy transition. So we focus in these 4 carbon and resource related areas: electricity, water, transportation, and solar. And most recently, even in solar, carbon, and agriculture. We have an amazing partnership, for example, with the USDA, where we support this small group of BIPOC female producers, and we have working group meetings with them. We talk about their coffee farming. Sometimes they get interrupted in our virtual meetings because they have a bull loose in their yard, which is a real reason that people have gone off camera before. So it's a really fun and interesting partnership that we've engaged with there. It's really in the electricity space, though, that my organization has advanced and really expanded a lot of our data work. So over the course of the last decade, we've built the planet's largest energy use database. So we have the world's largest collection of residential energy use that is put into what we call a data port. So we ingest upwards of 12 billion records per day. And that's only from our test bed of about 1,200 participants right now. So other organizations who might be similar collect minute level or even hour level data, which is impressive. We collect second level data. So 24/7, 365, it is the largest database of residential energy use data on the planet. We started out in Austin, so we're very proud to have our roots here in Austin, Texas. But since then, we've expanded significantly, even throughout and after the pandemic. We now have participating homes in our test bed in New York, in California. We're in Colorado, Michigan, Delaware. We just received a very large GRIP grant from the Department of Energy in the fall to expand our work in Delaware. One of our humble flexes in that program is that we're going to be able to close the last coal plant in Delaware as a part of that project, which we are super jazzed about. My Chief Technology Officer, Scott Henson, talks about this all the time. He's very proud about that, and we really all are. We're in Pennsylvania and Oklahoma, Georgia, Oregon, and Puerto Rico. Claro, very proud of that too. So expansion has been a really critical driver for us as an organization, and we really want to increase the applicability of our data and diversify our test bed to different regions, different climates, different home sizes, so that we have a more diverse sample of households. We've also pioneered a lot of new ways to measure water use, research, transportation systems. We're working really closely, like I said, with farmers and agricultural researchers to quantify soil carbon. We're really excited about that. And then try to demonstrate other climate-friendly agricultural practices as well. So if you've talked to any of our staff or any of our board members, and I do need to call out that our amazing board member, who I cannot take him anywhere, he knows everyone knows him, they admire him, and I feel super proud to brag that he's our board chair, Mitch Jacobson, sitting right here. If you've talked to any of our staff and any of our board, then you know how important data is to the mission of our organization and really to all of our partners as well and our clients. And we're always trying to find new ways and the best and the most efficient ways really to improve our energy system to reduce our climate emissions. So one of the things that I want to talk about today that's paramount to that mission is energy equity. So we have a lot of energy equity issues in this country that have persisted for generations, and that's what I'm going to focus on today. As it changes and as we make all these transitions in the clean energy space, we have to remember that equity needs to be baked into all the decisions that are made, whether it's through policy or through funding, to address the urgent threat of climate change that we're all facing. So here's how we can look at energy equity. We're going to talk about these three pieces, and then I promise to get to the inspiring part in just a little bit. So I'm sure there might be some economists in the room today. As we understand it, equity doesn't really have a place in most economic models, right? There's supply, there's demand, there's profit, there's wealth, there's competition, but equity is really a foreign concept in the free market. So that means if we want to achieve any level of equity in the clean energy space, it needs to be baked into those decisions. It needs to be integrated into decisions and into funding mechanisms that are occurring right now, and not just think that we're going to let the typical levers of the market do what it does, right? This industrial revolution has to be different than the last one. And so if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, I want to talk about a couple of examples of each of these: the extraction of owned resources, the exploitation of vulnerable communities, and then exclusion from economic benefits. So this is a picture of Spindletop. I'm sure everyone who's in the energy space is familiar with this. This is really where the Texas oil boom began in 1901. So from Spindletop all the way through today's shale boom in the Permian, fossil fuel energy is really dependent and really it hinges on accessing and extracting finite natural resources, right? So some people struck it rich, whether it was through accident or maybe inheritance, but it all started with ownership, which has not always been equitable. So we really need to ensure that communities, particularly our marginalized, all vulnerable communities, are not disproportionately impacted by all of the negative environmental impacts of resource extraction, which includes pollution in our communities, habitat destruction, and then all of the health risks that are associated with that as well. Now, who knows where this is a photograph of? Does anyone know what this is a photograph of? It's not. I saw your hand, Jim. Do you know where this is? It's Manchester, which is a neighborhood in Houston. From pipelines to refineries to fossil fuel infrastructure, those are things that are rarely found in more affluent or in wealthy neighborhoods, right? Because residents who have political power, who have the economic freedom to move when they don't like their environment or when their children are sick, they have the power for this infrastructure not to be built there. So we know where this infrastructure is built, right? It is built in disadvantaged communities and communities of color largely. So this photo is from the Manchester area of Houston, where only a chain link fence separates this home from a refinery, right? So like many of these communities, it is true of freeways, it's true of industrial facilities, of warehouses, transportation terminals, essentially everything that we all need to be able to function as a society, but that no one wants to live next to, right? So without question, we all benefit from access to energy. And we have not all shared equally in the economic benefits that it provides. So low-income families spend significantly higher portions of their income on basic energy needs, right? Heating, cooling, transportation, those are just a few examples. So we have not all prospered equally in that economic energy engine. In 2019, Black Americans accounted for 13% of the population, but only 6% of the oil and gas industry workforce. Like our colleague John Hall says, how many Black clean energy CEOs are there, or even upper management? And that number is even smaller for Latina CEOs, such as myself, way less than 2%. So they're excluded from other benefits too. We all have a need cleaner air and a more reliable grid. That's something that we're all looking for, something that we all want. But EVs and solar and home energy management systems, those require huge investments that are easier for most people in this room than a family of 2 adults working 4 shifts a week might not be able to afford. So consider this, Pecan Street, my organization, our first efforts were to expand our network to lower income families, but we learned a lot throughout that process. We faced one super critical challenge that was really kind of a surprise. So our network relies on always on Wi-Fi connections. That's between $50 to $70 a month that middle America has simply had to learn to absorb, right? So many families' only internet access comes across their phones, right? Which is a much more crucial family item for them. So what we had to do in order to have these partners was to create a cellular network simply so these families could be a participant in our data collection and in our data port. And so many of them told us that the single greatest benefit of being a partner to Pecan Street were not the energy insights that we were providing, but the fact that their family had access to full-time internet. Now, let that sink in. That's pretty profound. It wasn't that they were able to go online in Dataport and look at how they were using energy and then make changes in their behavior as a result of that. It was that they had internet in their homes. And so I know this is all way more challenging than inspiring, so let me start to turn things around, okay? We have all of the ingredients that we need in order to make these changes, right? In order to ameliorate these problems that we're talking about this whole entire week. So the world is talking about clean energy equity. They're talking about clean energy from all of the exciting work that's happening right now with the hydrogen hubs to the impact of climate change to the opportunity that increasingly I'm invited to speak about energy equity at different conferences and events. So more funders are also requiring that equity plays a central role in their planning. More companies are growing to understand that equity should be a critical component of their licenses to operate, right? The Biden administration's Justice40 Initiative is a wonderful example of this. I think this is of paramount importance. So this is the directive that 40% of all the overall benefits from the federal investments that have flowed down have to go to disadvantaged communities who are marginalized traditionally by underinvestment. They're marginalized by the overburden of pollution as well. This is an example from our friends at the Environmental Defense Fund at EDF. And they're really pushing for all of the hydrogen hubs to include really strong community engagement in every single award. At Pecan Street, we've really tried to embody this programmatically. So we have partnerships in Michigan, in Georgia, Oklahoma, and in Pennsylvania as well. And we're demonstrating through those partnerships how residential electrification transition can be achieved in LMI, low to moderate income communities. So when billions of dollars, of federal dollars, become available to those households over the coming year, those retrofits are implemented efficiently at scale. So I'm really excited about that. In our partnership in Puerto Rico, our data helps residents to be able to manage their solar, their battery storage, when their unpredictable grid power supply goes out. We even try to help them develop things like microgrids. So speaking of investment, we've talked a lot about the different investment opportunities this week, and come and find me at the reception or dinner if you want to write a federal grant together. That is my favorite thing to do. You're not going to find a lot of people who say this, but it is mine. So speaking of investments, right now we're in the middle of the largest federal investment in climate and energy in our lifetimes through BIL, through IRA. This study just came out from Princeton, and they're saying now that an estimated $4 trillion of cumulative investment in the United States through energy supply infrastructure is going to come out between now and 2032. And then private funding is absolutely going to follow this as well. And so that could spur on even additional investments over the next decade. So bringing us to the final ingredient, but the most inspiring, the most important ingredient. So I'm here today at the country's foremost energy university. I do have to say that I'm an Aggie. I have 2 degrees from Texas A&M University, and it really kind of pains me to say anything good about UT, even though I do have a PhD from here. I know, blasphemy, right? But I guess I still have to say it. I guess UT is impressive. Don't tell my other Aggie brethren. So talking to different students, different professionals who aspire to be in this field or they're preparing to dedicate their lives, their career to this clean energy transition. So this sector is expanding. You could have a long career in this field. The pay is good. And it's not just attracting engineers and scientists that we need to help us to invent and expand new energy technologies. We have people from all other disciplines coming into the conversation as well, which I think is needed. Dr. Weber talks about that a lot, about how we need to have a diverse group of voices who are coming to the table, a multidisciplinary group who comes to the table in this conversation. So on that happy note, we have a lot of young people who want to change the world, which inspires me because they're going to be taking care of all of us one day. So my organization, Pecan Street, is so proud to be a community partner with this amazing organization called EcoRise. And this organization is really inspiring a new generation of leaders to design a sustainable future for us all. And their co-founder is here. If she would stand up, I would love that. Kizzy Hannibal Solani is here. She came to support the students that you're going to hear from in just a moment. And Pecan Street is so excited to be in this community partnership with them. So it's given me and my staff the opportunity to serve as guides and mentors and to really seek out hands-on opportunities for the students that we're partnered with. And all of these students, they're as smart as like other grown-ups that I know. It's pretty impressive. You'll see that in just a minute. But they're super passionate about climate change. They're super passionate about clean energy, about aspiring to a career in STEM. And so through this partnership, I want to invite the students that have come here today who would like to speak to come up here with me on the stage. One by one, they're going to introduce themselves to you, and they're going to tell you a little bit about why this is important work to them and what they aspire to do in the future. And I promise you're going to leave feeling really good about our future. So, okay, Anissa can start.
Hi everyone, my name is Nishta Verma, and I am a junior at Lhasa High School. So I just want to start off by saying thank you, Anissa, for introducing us and giving such an awesome presentation. So I just want to start off by saying I am a student. And I go to Lhasa, which is a very difficult school. It's very competitive academically and all the other ways too. So it's very stressful, obviously. And I've been working with EcoRise since my freshman year, so 2 years now, and it's been very, very awesome. I get so many awesome opportunities, so many awesome experiences that I can't get from anywhere else that I get from this organization. And I get to work with so many people. I get to network with professionals, adults. And it's just such a thrilling experience all the time. Sometimes I get really nervous. It's like, oh, they know everything. And I don't. But they're so supportive. Everybody in this field is just so awesome. They explain everything to you if you don't know something, and they help you out. So I've been doing a lot of projects in energy, sustainability, this kind of field, especially with EcoRise. In my freshman year, I started a project. It was with carbon sensors. And I started off with a group, and then I kind of moved along independently because that year kind of ended. So I moved it on independently, and I reached out to some more people. And then I joined the ESAC, which is a committee where I feel so honored to say this, I get to vote on different projects and things that get approved to be put into AISD schools. So I kind of make decisions as a student and vote with other professionals and adults to see what happens in my district. So it affects me and my friends and my teachers. And it's just so great to see that I can make that kind of change. And so I'm doing that project right now with some other students because student perspective is super necessary whenever doing anything really, because that's the next generation, and we're going to be in this field right after all of you doing awesome work. So it's so great to be starting off so early and being able to take such a big step in this field, and just knowing that I will be able to do something after doing all these projects and things like that. I thinking of what else I want to say. I just want to say thank you so much for coming, and I'm going to hand it off to my friends from EcoRise to explain what other awesome things they do. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Miriam. I'm a senior at Anderson High School, and I'm also a 2-year council member in Austin's Youth Climate Equity Council. And I think the main thing I want to focus on today is just how grateful I am for the opportunity to collaborate with Pecan Street and work with EcoRise. In school, we don't get a lot of hands-on opportunities to, feel confident about what we want to pursue after high school. And what was so excellent about this chance is I really got the opportunity to interact with students from all over the city. Usually you're in your tight little bubble at your school, but EcoRise has given us the invaluable opportunity to interact with students from Hayes ISD, Del Valley, other schools within Austin ISD, and getting to hear their experiences, how they interact with other students at their schools, the environmental justice issues that they face in their neighborhoods and what they prioritize. For example, what might not be an issue for me, such as like water access in my neighborhood, could be an issue for other students still in the Austin area. And I think, getting to have that conversation was incredibly invaluable. And, you hear a lot that youth are the future, but I think what we really need to emphasize is that they're the present too. And so we really need to focus on how to provide students with hands-on career exploration opportunities to really see what they want to pursue and realize that intersection with justice. And that's what I'm so thankful for, Anissa, for connecting us with this opportunity, allowing us to explore the intersection between social justice, data, environmental justice. And yeah, I'm really excited for what we're going to do this year. Thanks.
Well, howdy, folks. I'm James Irvin. I'm a senior over at Lhasa High School, and I'm a member of the Fightin' Texas Aggie Class of 28. And so, I guess if I really need to introduce myself in the context of climate change, I got to go all the way back to the beginning. And when I say beginning, I mean first grade, so 11 years ago. It's certainly been a minute. I remember there was a science book in my first grade teacher's library. It was like just a general purpose science book, like, introduce you to everything. And let's say about probably 3/5 of the way through the book, there was a section on climate change. And it was interesting because it was a section talking about how the warming of our planet will basically see a catastrophe of biblical proportions. And of course, that left quite the impression on my young mind. I mean, of course, it wasn't like a big old fancy picture. It was just a couple of lines of text. But even at that age, I knew the impact that we were having on our planet. And so it left me, honestly, quite scared for a number of years. And I would lie if I say I wasn't scared now. But the difference is that, over the years, I've done stuff, I've done internships, I've done work. But this is my first one actually in climate change proper, like working to fight it. The previous one that I did, which was kind of adjacent, was NASA STEM Enhancement in Earth Science, also held here at the UT at the Center for Space Research. And I worked on a project to predict the risk of mosquito-borne diseases in rural areas that are very hilly where you struggle to create data networks. And through doing that, I did the research and I got the appreciation for all the work and the science that goes into it. But the part that I found out later that I was really missing was the step to take it from, guys, we have a really, really, really cool concept, but how do we make the concept a reality? So whenever my mom told me about EcoRise, I figured, well, I've had my years of fun of doom and gloom and just dragging my feet and getting all bummed on the matter. So I figured, maybe now is the time for me to actually go do something. So, I applied for EcoRise. I got accepted. And so, yeah, I haven't had that much time for it. I'm only in my first and only year. But I'm really, really excited to working with Pecan Street because for me, who comes from an engineering and science background, the whole notion of you don't know you have a problem until you really know you have it. Like, you can't start addressing a problem until you actually know everything about the problem. And so whenever I saw that Pecan Street was doing that kind of work, I'm like, holy cow, why would I work with anybody else? These are my people. So So yeah, thank you all so much for having me, and I appreciate the talking opportunity.
Hello, my name is Lucina Thompson. I'm a senior at Anderson High School, and this is my first year participating in the Austin Youth Climate Equity Council. Being in this council has taught me so much more than I could have learned in school about equity and what it really means in the environmental place. Being able to interact with kids from all over Austin, and not even just our school districts, from East Austin and South Austin and North Austin, and being able to talk about climate issues really in depth and also get hands-on experience has been so valuable, and it's also just so inspiring in this time where there's so much changing, where it gets hotter every summer and the winters are so unpredictable. Being able to hear about the problems that other students face and what they're doing in their community to combat it has really inspired me to pursue it further. So in college, I'm planning to major in environment and sustainability, and I really want to work in the space of environmental law and make sure that marginalized voices are incorporated into these conversations even more. So I'm really grateful for being in this council, and it's been great. And working with Pecan Street and learning about what equity and what that really looks like in the space has been great. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Grace Valdez. I'm a junior at McCallum High School, and I promise not to take too much more of your time. I, like James, will explain how, in the context of climate change, I've sort of come to this point through the Austin Youth Climate Equity Council. So, to understand, my parents are huge climate advocates. So my dad's a climate scientist, and my mom's a oil and gas regulation lawyer. So I've been beaten over the head since youth with the idea of our planet is dying and oil is taking over Texas and all of these horrible atrocities. And it's been so wonderful once you get more research into it to realize that so much more can be done outside of just worrying about it 24/7. So through EcoRise, we've been able to, this is my second year, we've been able to implement so many new things. So last year I worked on devising ideas for transportation technologies and transportation policies in the Austin area. So we were able to present at the city council and explain to them our ideas for sustainability and better access for transportation, specifically through buses and trains in Austin. And it was honestly enlightening to be able to have an ability to see that manifestation of what is possible through climate advocacy. And it has just been such a wonderful experience to be part of the Austin Youth Climate Equity Council, and the people at EcoRise are so incredibly friendly and inspiring, and it's been nothing short of a wonderful experience. All right. Thank you.
Aren't they awesome? I told y'all. They can for y'all. So thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thanks for being here for the final keynote of the day. If you wanted to nerd out on data or federal grants or learn more about Pecan Street or EcoRise, please come find me at the reception or the dinner. And thank you so much, everyone.